Hi, this is Debbie and thank you for joining me today as I take a look at a couple of new Neat and Tangled sets which will be released this Friday the 9th of March. Today I'm highlighting the Hello Spring set, however I'm also using the Friendly Floral set too, so we'll get an early look at that lovely set. At the end of this video I'll tell you about how you can enter giveaways for the new sets and also be in for a $25 gift certificate as well. I'll also leave links to the products that I've used today, although the new products won't be listed until Friday when they go live. Okay, so let's crack on with this card. I started by stamping a selection of the images from the Friendly Floral set in Sam Says Stamp Intense Black ink on Neenah Solar White card. This is a Copic friendly ink and I thought for today I would give my Copics a workout as they've been sorely neglected with all the watercolouring I've been doing recently. You'll be able to see the particular colours I use by the marker caps I've placed to the side. I've sped this video up so that I can get as much of the colouring in as possible. I do apologise for the wonky lighting. As I made this card, it was a beautiful spring day and the sun was popping out from behind the clouds and giving the video camera real trouble keeping up. The weather seemed so appropriate for colouring these gorgeous spring blooms. However, communication lines seem to have got a little crossed, because as I edit and voice over this video, we are back in the depths of winter with a cracking snowstorm which has caused chaos here in the UK. I live in Scotland and even up here where we are more used to snow, the weather has still caused no end of troubles the last day or so. I'm now hoping that as I work on getting this spring card ready that the weather has a change of heart and we can go back to the spring sunshine. Anyway, let's chat and let's get back to the colouring. I kept the colouring simple as my Copic colouring skills are quite basic. I like to use a light, medium and dark tones to colour. I start with the lightest shade, work my way through the medium to the dark shade and then back down to the lightest shade again. One tip I have is to always colour on top of another piece of card or paper. You can perhaps see here that I have another piece of card underneath the piece I'm working on. This not only protects your surfaces as Copic markers will bleed through and potentially mark whatever is underneath, but I find it also helps with the colouring. I'm not sure of the theory, but I think it helps with the way it wicks away excess marker, preventing bleeding. As I coloured this blue flower, I was uncertain what colour to use for the flower centre. I plumped on using a rich yellow, but then did find this a little overwhelming, and later on when I tidy up any areas I had overlapped the lines with a zero blender pen, I also ran this over the flower centre too, so as to mute the colour a little. As I finished the colouring, I added some simple details to the flowers, with a few marker pen dots, white gel pen dots, and a flourish of sparkle with a Nuvo AQUA marker in glitter gloss. This gives the flowers a lovely subtle sparkle and shine. I used my tin snips to break apart the matching dies for the Friendly Floral set, and then lined each of the matching dies over their image, kept them in place with tape, and ran them through my die cutting machine. With the flowers ready for my card, it's now time to take a closer look at the Hello Spring set. This set comes with a lovely large script spring stamp, and that also has a matching die to cut out the stamped word. In addition, there's also a die for the spring word, so you can either die cut or stamp the spring, and then, as mentioned, there's the outline die to go with it. I hope that makes sense. I wanted to have the spring word in exactly the same colour as my flowers, and so I scribbled one of the markers I had used on a scrap of white card, and I will then die cut this from the pink card later. I found the best thing is to wait for a short while for the marker to fully dry before die cutting, otherwise I find the card gets stuck in the die, so I set that aside to dry for now while I worked on the background for this card. In the Hello Spring set is a great sentiment panel, which is already set out for you. I placed a piece of fob card in my stamp positioner and treated it with a powder tool. I'm going to be heat embossing this sentiment panel, and the powder tool prepares the card so that the embossing powder only sticks to where the sticky ink is. So I stamped the block in clear embossing ink from Sam Says Stamp. I stamped it a couple of times to make sure I had a good impression, and then sprinkled with white embossing powder, and using a preheated heat tool, I heated the powder until it melted. I repeated the stamping and embossing twice more so that the length of the fob panel was covered. By now the marker pen has dried for my pink card, and I ran the spring word through the die cutting machine. I also cut the spring outline die from white card because as I started to experiment with putting this card together, I found that the pink die cut on its own was getting a little lost in the background. I trimmed the fog heat embossed panel down slightly with my Tonic guillotine I love this trimmer and it can manage several sheets of card at a time if need be. I then added the pink spring die cut to the white outline die with Ranger Multimedia Matte. I added foam adhesive to the back of the fog panel and all the other elements and then started compiling them on the white card base. This base is one I cut and scored from Neenah Solar White 110 weight card. This is my favourite card for bases as it is nice and thick and will support the card without sagging. In addition to the elements you've seen me prepare, I also stamped a coordinating Hello sentiment from the Hello Spring set and stamped it in plain embossing ink on slate card and white heat embossed before trimming to a banner to fit over the spring sentiment. I added the flowers with foam adhesive and initially placed them lightly on the card so that I could rearrange their placement before finally pressing them down firmly for the final arrangement. I dotted around some of the sequins from this month's Sequin mix and then kept them in place with Ranger Multimedia Matte. And that completes this card using the fun new Hello Spring and Friendly Floral sets from Neat and Tangled that will be released this Friday, 9th of March. As for the giveaways, each day, Monday through Thursday this week, you'll find on Neat and Tangled's blog details of how to enter a giveaway for the new product being highlighted each day. Also, there's a $25 gift certificate up for grabs for comments left on the design team's blog post during this week. I'll leave links in the YouTube description below to the Neat and Tangled blog, as well as a link to the coordinating blog post over at limedoodledesign.com. I'll also leave links to the products that I've used today. I want to thank you for joining me, and if you've enjoyed this tutorial, I'd be delighted if you'd subscribe to this channel. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.